That's right. It's News View. Welcome back. I'm visiting with Ron Hart. It's 156 degrees in the studio. Jeff is bemoaning and dishing me because I'm drinking coffee and he's wearing shorts and flip-flops and a t-shirt. Okay, Ron. Let me make sure I say this correctly. WikiLeaks?
Yeah, like Wikipedia, I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they came out. 90,000 documents came out on WikiLeaks about the war, and
they blaming it on this Manning, this PFC.
Yeah, this Brad. His moniker was Brad-ass 89.
Oh, great!
And that's how they call him. They did a search, did a Brad, who was born in 1989, who's in the area that could have had the papers, and
right.
Bam, he's arrested immediately.
Right.
So he's not exactly a super
right.
spy. It ain't worth trading to the Russians, probably. Getting much for him.
Get no swap for him, right?
Yeah, people compared to the Pentagon Papers during your war, Vietnam and Ellsberg, et cetera. And, at the end of the day, Obama's put a happy face on Afghanistan. It's his war. I think he's lied to everyone about his intentions. He escalated the war. He didn't back off the war. He really hadn't done anything different than Bush did in Iraq. If they leaked the documents about our intent, our mission in Afghanistan, I wish they'd tell us because Obama doesn't know what it is. I mean, if you go to war, you have to have an end game, and there's no defined end game here.
We had none in Vietnam.
Exactly, it's an open-ended guerrilla war in which we don't do well.
Right.
We don't do well. They line up in a battlefield, we'll mow them down.
Yeah.
We got superior men.
We left that
and
place
technology.
off the top of the embassy.
Yeah, it's the graveyard of the empires. Afghanistan, Russia. They turned back the English. They turned back Genghis Khan in the old days.
Right.
I mean, this is an old land, very tough terrain, and they can't find Bin Laden. You know he's being harbored by the Pakistanis.
I believe, yeah.
No doubt about
Yeah.
it. So they're taking our money. We give it to them like dopes, the Pakistani people, and they're funneling it back to Al Qaeda. I mean, they're just as honest as their last palm greasing. These people. So we need to get out of there. This is not our world. If you bomb them, where you bomb them back to? They already looks like walking through biblical days when you go through the villages.
But is that not the point, Ron? I mean, where's the point in arrogance to think that you can turn that area that has been what it has been since the beginning of recorded time into a democratic nation? Right,
a very religious area that the religious factions don't even get along with each other, much less anyone else. There's no democracy by their nature. I mean, Saddam Hussein, looking back on it, kept Iraq pretty organized in many ways, arguably more organized than it is today.
Right.
Because a strong, a despot leader, a thugocracy like Saddam Hussein sometimes works.
Right.
And for a developing country, until they can slowly progress toward democracy, you got to keep a pretty firm grip on the country, and Saddam Hussein did that in many ways.
I am so disappointed that we continue to put our men and women in the service in dangerous way.
63 died this month, the highest ever in Afghanistan. And I hate to say this, but I really believe this. I think Obama, his ego is such, he wants to be the one that got Bin Laden. So he's willing to put these kids, because they're going closer into Pakistan each day. Now, clearly, the mission, in my view, and my last uniform service was Weeblos, so I'm not a military person, but you got to help defend the Pakistani border because they'd have nuclear bombs.
Right.
So if there was an overthrow of the Pakistanis, you'd have a real problem. But you don't have to be going village to village in Afghanistan, getting blown up for no reason. We've already spent $1 trillion, okay? It's just, we got no end game. It's not going to end well. We've been there 9 years, the longest war in our nation's history. It'll drain our treasury. It'll drain our morale. It'll drain our currency around the world in terms of a moral leader. We just need to get out of there. And that's what Obama said he was going to do. And I held out a little bit of hope for him early on. I really did. I thought he'd be a post-racial president, not the most racial, divisive president I've ever seen. And I thought he'd get us out of Afghanistan and Iraq. And basically, I thought he would also say to the minority classes in America, look, I'm president of the United States. Let's move on, get over it. It can be done. Let's move forward. And he's done just the opposite of everything. And he's raised taxes. And he's caused class warfare by envy. The worst part of the people's nature is envy of someone else's stuff. And he's created that. Jobs are moving overseas. No corporation in America wants to hire here because taxes are going up. He's just awful. And he surrounds himself with a bunch of egghead academic people that are pure liberals, pure ideologues.
Ron Hart, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Newsview, visiting with Ron Hart, syndicated columnist, author, and Fox News View contributor, all-around great American, even though he's a libertarian. And he and I are physically together and socially, sometimes no, sometimes yo, you know. Listen, we're talking about Afghanistan, and let me make a point. In Vietnam, the Marines, the Marine Corps, lost 5 times as many people as they lost in World War I, 3 times as many as they lost in Korea, and more than they lost in World War II. Mm-hmm. Okay, 69 was the butcher year. 68 was even worse than that, but 68 and 69 were the pinnacle of those things. You're fighting the war, you know immediately that a bunch of idiots are in charge, and you know that there is no plan to win. It is, win their hearts and their minds, give them all your food, be their friend, friend during the day, kill you at night. And at the end of the day, what played out was exactly what plausibly had to play out, and that is we slopped out of that place like we slopped into it.
Right, and the idea was there was going to be a domino theory, you remember?
Right.
And if we got out of there, it was all going to fall. You know what? We're buying clothes from Vietnam right
Really?
now. They're a trading partner.
Really?
Capitalism has a way of bridging more gaps than the military does.
Really?
You have open borders, open trade. They love American goods. They love Marlboro cigarettes. They love our stuff. Capitalism is really what we need to export, not necessarily democracy. Democracy will come, and the notion that we're that arrogant that we're going to use our Thomas Jefferson form of democracy everywhere else in the country is a little bit high-handed, I think. They make themselves out to be great trading partners. China, from a huge country of poor people, needed communism to get to where they are now. And they're actually
so they could transition.
Exactly.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to be organized at some levels like that to make your baby steps toward democracy. And in their case, they're the most capitalist country in the world, China is.
Right.
Yet they're communists. It's a different deal. It's hard to define what a communist is these days. We've got creeping socialism in our country going the wrong direction, obviously. And the notion that I think that the Pakistanis and all these countries over there like us is flawed. They're not going to give us bin Laden if they have them. Switzerland won't even give us Roman Polanski.
Really?
We can't.
Really?
We can't get the. So it's not going to be a situation where they're going to greet us as liberators, as Cheney said. He was way off on that. Theoretically, you think they would, but they didn't, and they should have known better. The elder Bush went there once. He was smart enough not to go into Baghdad, and the son decided to go in there because he had a mandate after 9/11. He felt like everybody was mad.
Well, I think a lot of people. And I want to talk about the Obama-Bush relationship. One's better, one's worse. It's similar to what we've been speaking to. Ron Hart, Newsview. We'll be right back.